I thought my father was taking me to dinner, but he was actually selling my entire future.
You're safe
The
with
moment
me.
those words left the lawyer's mouth, my world didn't just break, it collapsed in silence. I was 20, pregnant, and sitting in a cold glass office across from a man I had never met before. A 55-year-old CEO who didn't smile, didn't blink, just watched me like he already knew every secret I was trying to hide. My father didn't even look at me. He just signed the papers, like I was nothing more than a business deal. I remember my hands shaking as I whispered, "Dad, what is this?" And he finally looked at me, not with love, not with guilt, but with relief. "This is the only way to save our family," he said. That was the moment I realized I wasn't his daughter anymore. I was his solution. The CEO finally spoke, his voice calm, deep, almost emotionless. "You'll be safe with me." Safe. That word didn't feel real. Not in that room. Not with that man. Not after what just happened. I wanted to run. I actually stood up. But then he said something that froze me in place. "If you walk out now, your father loses everything. And so do you." My father didn't even deny it. He just stared at the table. And that silence, it hurt more than any betrayal ever could. I signed nothing. But somehow, I still left that building with him. That night, I found myself inside a massive house that felt more like a silent museum than a home. Guards at the gates. Cameras in every corner. And him, always there, always watching from a distance. Not touching me. Not forcing me. Just observing. Like I was a problem he was trying to solve. Days passed like that. Silent breakfasts. Heavy footsteps in hallways. Eyes that followed me but never explained themselves. And the worst part? I was pregnant alone. Trapped in a life I never agreed to. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I walked into his study, my voice shaking with anger. "You didn't buy a wife. You bought a prisoner." For the first time, he looked tired. Not powerful. Not cold. Just human. "You think I wanted this?" he said quietly. That confused me. He stood up, walked to the window, and after a long silence added, "Your father didn't tell you the full agreement." That sentence changed everything. Because in that moment, I realized this wasn't just betrayal. It was something darker. Something planned. He turned back to me. "You weren't sold to me for money." A pause. For protection. My heart dropped. He told me everything after that, piece by piece. My father wasn't just in debt. He was in danger. Danger from people who don't forgive mistakes and don't accept delays. And I wasn't just pregnant. The child I was carrying was the reason I was alive. Because someone powerful believed that baby could be used as leverage. And the CEO? He wasn't my owner. He was my shield. Assigned to watch me, protect me, and make sure no one ever reached me. Even if it meant becoming the villain in my eyes. I didn't know what to believe. Because everything still felt like a cage. But then something happened that shattered everything again. One night, the power went out. And for the first time, the cameras went dark. I was alone in my room when I heard footsteps outside. Not his. Different. Faster. Urgent. The door lock clicked. And before I could scream, a man forced his way in. He whispered my name like he had been hunting it. "Where is it?" he hissed. My blood ran cold. I stepped back, instinctively protecting my stomach. And then a voice came from behind him. Calm. Controlled. Dangerously close. "I told you, you'd never get near her." The CEO stood in the doorway. But this time, he wasn't just watching. He was ready. What followed happened so fast I barely understood it later. Security alarms. Shouting. Glass breaking. And then silence again. When it was over, the intruder was gone. And I was shaking on the floor. The CEO knelt beside me for the first time. Really knelt. His voice softened, almost breaking. "I said I would keep you safe." I looked at him through tears. Then why does it feel like I'm still trapped? That question stayed in the air longer than anything else. Because even he didn't have an answer right away. The truth came out slowly after that night. He had been assigned to relocate me, protect me, and keep me hidden until the danger passed. But somewhere along the way, things changed. Because he stopped seeing me as a mission. and started seeing me as a person, someone he couldn't afford to lose. And that terrified him more than the threat outside. Days later, I found a file on his desk. My father's signature. And below it, a clause I was never meant to see. If anything happened to me, the CEO would lose everything. His company, his freedom, his entire life. I finally understood. He wasn't just watching me. He was sacrificing himself every day to keep me alive. And I had been hating him for it. The final twist came the morning I went into labor early. Pain hit like lightning. And for the first time he didn't stay calm. He panicked. He carried me himself, shouting orders, refusing to let anyone else touch me, his hands shaking harder than mine. And right before I lost consciousness, I heard him whisper something I wasn't supposed to hear. Please don't take her too. Not the baby. Her. Me. When I woke up, everything was different. The house was quiet. Warmer somehow. Less like a prison. And he was sitting beside me, exhausted, eyes red like he hadn't slept in days. You're both safe, he said softly. I should have felt relief. But instead I felt something more complicated. Because I finally understood the truth. I was never bought. I was never owned. I was placed between two worlds, betrayal and protection, fear and safety, hate and something dangerously close to trust. My father chose survival over me. But a stranger chose my life over his own. And as I looked at the man who once felt like my jailer, I realized the scariest part wasn't what he did to me. It was what he was becoming to me now. Because sometimes, the person you think is your enemy is the only reason you're still alive. And the question that haunted me as I held my newborn child was simple. If he saved me from everything, why does my heart still feel like I'm not free?